I posted a video a few months ago saying that if you have a narrow palate, it's still possible to do mewing and fit your tongue up there if you train it the right way. Someone commented and they said, or you can just do thumb pulling until you have enough space. Really? Would this really work? On this video, I'm going to tell you my opinion. If you're aware to some extent that you have some narrowness of your palate, it's difficult to get your tongue up there properly and do mewing, what should you do? I think to simplify this, there are two important factors to consider. One is your tongue, the shape and strength of your tongue, and the other is your upper palate. In a way, these interact together, right? Your tongue is like the foreground, the upper palate is like the background. The tongue is like the content, and the upper palate is like the context. The tongue is like the foot, the upper palate is like the shoe. You get the point. The tongue lives in the upper palate. So the tongue's ability to push up on your upper palate is going to depend on the shape of your upper palate as well as the tongue. So as I said in the last video, regardless of the shape of your upper palate right now, it's probably possible to get your tongue to fit more effectively up on your upper palate. And this is what Dr. Shia Faragella said as well. Over time, you can practice getting the tongue up there, especially on the back, with things like myofunctional therapy, myospots, other products. Doing mewing can help as well to change the shape of your tongue and how your tongue fits in your upper palate, your oral cavity over time as well. And the other side to this is also important. The shape of your upper palate affects your tongue's ability to fit up there properly. If you can change the shape of the upper palate, if you can get some expansion, naturally it makes sense. It's going to be easier for your tongue to go up there. It's going to be more natural for you to do mewing. My thinking on this changed a few months ago when I met with Dr. Sylvia in Portugal. What she explained to me is that she always focuses on the bone, on the maxilla first. In my situation, I realized that I was lacking forward growth. My palate was tall. If I was able to get some expansion of that palate and of the bone, it would make it a lot easier for me to do mewing and myofunctional therapy and some of the things that I was trying to do. Should you focus on training your tongue or expanding your palate? I think the obvious answer is both. If you can get some expansion of your palate and train your tongue and your lips and your swallowing pattern, then your tongue can more effectively fit in that space that you are creating. Now, to answer the question at the beginning of this video, why don't you just do thumb pulling until you have enough room? And this got me thinking about something that Dr. Shia Faragella said in the call in which I clipped on the last video, where he actually did say something about thumb pulling. And so I wanted to include what he said in that clip here.
There are some people out there that do things that I don't even understand. Like I think in some of the islands in the Pacific Islands, I hear of these stories all the time, and I would love to go out there and find out what they're doing. Some of them had crooked teeth, and they do a lot of face pulling. I don't know if you heard of face pulling, where they go on the inside and then with tongue elevation and face pulling, apparently their teeth start straightening on their own, and they don't know anything about mewing. They're just doing it because it's a tradition amongst their people. I'd love to be able to see what these people do. And craniodontics has been around for a while, and that's where they look at things like the sutures and they apply forces, in the opposite direction of the sutures in order to expand the suture, and then it goes back and expand and it goes back. And eventually the idea is that it's a constant force that's being done, 2 or 3 times a day. And apparently you do start to get changes in your face. And I don't know, maybe it's possible. I mean, why not? I don't know. I'm not sure.
But just to be clear, he's not recommending thumb pulling. He's not saying for sure that it works. He's saying that he's heard about it and he thinks that there is some possibility there. And I agree with this as well. I made a video a few months ago talking about 3D facial growth, where I had an option to do a dental treatment or to experiment with some of these natural exercises such as thumb pulling and face pulling. I had a palatal expander when I was younger. So if you looked at my palate before, it was quite wide in this U shape, and it wasn't a narrow V like you see sometimes. So I still had the long face and the steep mandibular angle because I was lacking the forward growth. In doing these exercises, I have definitely found that my maxilla has expanded forward, the angle of my mandible has decreased, and I have more room for my tongue. So I think that there is some promise here. I'm not saying that I recommend you go out and do these exercises because everybody watching this video is in a different situation. I'm saying that I think this is promising. And I actually think that this is a very, very exciting time for everybody in this community who's aware of mewing and aware of these techniques as well. Now, I understand that there is going to be a lot of skepticism around this because there's no science on it. We're in the very early stages. Now, I am doing a little bit of a self-study and experiment myself because I took x-rays when I started doing these techniques. I'm going to be taking x-rays at the end point after 1 year. So hopefully that can help to provide at least some level of validity that these techniques can work. And I'm going to release a video showing you how to do these techniques if you want to do them. Now, I have a slight dilemma on this because I want to make sure that everybody is safe, which is why I'm taking my time to make sure that I learn more. I'm going to be connecting with some osteopaths, craniodontists, trying to get more information. When I do release these exercises, I'm going to do so in our free course area. So if you haven't signed up for the free course yet, there's a link in the description where you can do so. Thank you again for watching this video. Please leave a comment and let me know what you think. So thank you, and we will see you in the next video.